Hi, my name is Nicholas Peterson. Back in 1983, the United States government approved the release of the first genetically modified organism. In this case, it was a bacteria that prevents frost on food crops. Some might say living without genetically modified organisms, specifically food, sounds like a good thing. But how does living without something like cheese sound? According to The Guardian, 90% of all hard cheeses are created through the use of genetically modified bacteria to curdle the milk. The World Health Organization defines genetically modified organisms, GMOs, as an organism such as a plant, animal, or microorganism that their genetic material, DNA, altered in a way that isn't natural. Technology to do this is often called modern biotechnology or gene technology. It allows individual genes to be transferred from one organism to another, even if they're not related species. At the end of this speech, I will hope you embrace GMOs and the bright future they'll help form. First, I'll highlight GMOs in food, then their uses for other fields. Next, I'll cover the current controversy of health and environmental safety and why certified GMOs are safer than some would have you believe. Every year, crop yields are reduced significantly by insects, pathogens, and viruses. To combat this, there are foods that have been modified to have a natural pesticide so that farmers can use less chemicals on their crops, and altered so that they are resistant to certain viruses that could ruin a whole crop. Another way crops are now being modified is so that they'll mature faster and are more resilient in hostile environments like salt, drought, frost, or against metals. They are also being engineered to protect against herbicides needed in weed-heavy environments. In developing countries, people don't necessarily have access to the variety of food to meet their nutritional requirements. Genetically modified technology, GM technology, can help combat this malnutrition problem by engineering a plant to produce additional vitamins, such as in the Golden Rice Project. While genetically modified food is probably the most recognizable example of GMOs, there are many other uses for them. These include, but aren't limited to, industrial, medical, environmental, and animal. In industry, fuel technology, as always, is a big area of interest. UCLA is doing research into genetically modified bacteria that is able to produce 50% more biofuel from the same amount of biomass. There are several medical uses for GMOs. They include designing organisms to produce antibiotics, medicine that is more effective with fewer side effects, gene therapy, using microorganisms to produce hormones, and creating new vaccines by genetically altering food, which could revolutionize immunization in third world countries. GMOs can also be used in the environment for things that aren't agricultural related. For instance, using microbes to clean up coastal oil spills, treating waste and preventing pollution, and engineering plants to remove heavy metals from the soil. Genetically engineered animals have been used for a variety of purposes, from mice that have been modified for human disease testing, mosquitoes that have been modified to help lower the disease-carrying mosquito population, and even salmon to grow year-round instead of the half year so they can reach a harvestable size sooner. All these organisms being modified, with more and more being changed every day, has understandably raised concerns. The two main concerns for GMOs are risks to the environment and risks to human health. One concern for the environment is horizontal gene transfer, which is the spread of genetic information from one species to another other than direct descent. But the risk of this is low and can't even really be simulated in labs. In contrast, the consequences of vertical gene transfer between GMOs and their wildlife counterparts can be alarming. The concern that this raises is that plants can become invasive species in changing ecosystems required for local wildlife. Specifically, that these new GMOs would be toxic to the animals. In order to prevent these from happening, companies have devised methods of isolation for particular GMOs to prevent them from spreading. Also, along with concerns being raised about the environment, they have been expressed about our health of eating such foods. The big question is, are GM foods safe? GM foods are tightly regulated by several countries. In the USA, the FDA, EPA, and Department of Agriculture are all involved in the regulatory process for GM crop approval. GM plants undergo extensive safety testing prior to commercialization. This, and in conjunction with testing required for normal foods, offers a formidable requirement. Altered foods don't go on the market until after the FDA's questions about safety have been resolved. What kind of testing does genetically modified food go through, you ask? The FDA says that the evaluation of genetically engineered plants is a comprehensive process that includes the distinguishing attributes of the new genetic trait, assessing if it could be toxic or allergenic, and how the nutrient levels compare to the original plant. The main concerns that people have for human health are the possibility of making things that are commonly non-allergenic to making now cause an allergic reaction. The possible transfer of genetic material to the body or bacteria of the gastrointestinal tract, particularly antibiotic-resistant genes that could affect human health adversely, and the transfer of genetically modified food cells into conventional crops that may affect food safety and food security. Foods derived from GM crops have been consumed around the world for more than 15 years with no reported ill effects or legal cases related to human health. Today I explained about the benefit of GM food, including crop protection, nutritional content, and crop yield. I touched upon its non-agricultural uses for industrial, medical, environmental, and animal. Also, I explained that all certified GMOs undergo a rigorous safety testing and are heavily regulated and currently pose little danger to yourself or the environment. By themselves, genetically engineered crops will not end hunger or improve health or bolster the struggling economy of countries. They won't save the sight of millions or fortify their bones, but they can help. Thank you for your attention.